Ho ho! We're doing part two of the DLC. We're doing it, so we stop, and we're going to be going to the manor.
Yeah, he
Dude,
seemed pretty nice.
he seemed pretty nice, so I hope that doesn't mean he's a murderer. And there's something on the floor. Hey, 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 something's on the floor. Wow, this place does not disappoint. Ooh, I'm so excited. Whoa, slow down, Maya. The mansion isn't going anywhere. Now then, we won't have to worry about anyone untoward eavesdropping here. I take it you wanted to ask me some questions, huh? That's why I couldn't talk openly about it in public and risk sullying the Sprocket family's reputation. Aw, and I was really looking forward to all those fancy snacks, too. There, there, Maya, don't cry. This Pierce guy's one shrewd man. Hey, Nick, look at that cute vintage radio. Radio? Oh, that thing over there under the stuffed bull's head. I want to take a closer look. Oh my god. I thought I told you to settle down. I'm sorry. Not to worry. It kind of reminds me of the guy in the third case of the second Great Ace game.
You know?
Yeah. Except here he just has a gadget. He's not literally a robot.
Maybe he's a descendant.
Ah. I am not only the butler, but I'm also Sprocket Aviation's repair department director. One might say that patching things up is my specialty. That was incredible. What is that little doohickey on your shoulder, anyway? It's my Foxer shoulder mech. Fixer upper. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Master Soren made it for me. It has too many features and functions to effectively enumerate. Fixing things is a simple matter. But fixing people is a different matter. Even a skilled physician can't bring them back to the dead. Can't bring back the dead. Oh, but forgive me. I seem to have gotten sidetracked. He must be in shock over Mr. Bloomsbury's death. Still, I do need to ask him some questions about the case.
Who's Mr. Bloomsbury in Cooper?
The other servant dude?
He was a servant as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was the servant above our accused.
Yeah, I was falling asleep a little bit, so.
Yes. So we're gonna look around too. So how about we see what's on the floor? Excuse me, but there's a card here on the floor. Well, look at that. It's a Flying Chapel key card. The Flying Chapel? What areas on the Flying Chapel require a key card, if I may ask? Mostly areas we want to keep the public out of, such as the staff room and the hold, which is chock full of machinery. So you can't enter those areas without a key card. That's right. This one here belongs to Ellen. Wait, what's Ellen's keycard doing here? Did Ellen come back here after the incident occurred? I don't believe so, and she was arrested by the police straight away this morning. Although, there was a strange man with a gaudy jacket in here earlier. Was that man wearing a beret by any chance? Yes, he was, as a matter of fact. He was also wearing sunglasses and a fake mustache. The fake mustache, man. I knew it. The only question is, what was he doing here? He's the murderer. That's what
no.
it is. Finally, after all this time, he's the murderer. Hey, Nick, now here's a real lady. She looks smart as a whip, doesn't she? I wonder who she is. We didn't see her on the airship. That is Selena Sprocket, Soren's elder sister. Beautiful and capable, she was a great lady.
Was?
Soren's sister, I think I see the resemblance. Maybe I'll show Pierce this photo later and ask him about her. Yes, I will ask about her. And why she was.
Why are we talking about from the past then?
Yeah. Look at that airplane propeller up there going round and round. I see they've got an aviation theme going on. Makes sense for an airline family. I wonder if it doubles as a fan. Ooh, what if the rest of the plane were on the other side of that wall? And the wall would open up so the plane could take off in an emergency. How cool would that be? If that's what's behind the propeller wall, then what's behind the bull wall across the way? Oh, I know, maybe it's the rest of them. That must be where the Sprockets get their milk. Nick, first of all, that's a beef cow, and second, bulls don't make milk. Oh, right. That's what I get for trying to play along. Oh, it's the bridal bouquet. Hey, Nick, how about I throw it? And you try to catch it. Why me? Just because. I bet you'd look hilarious flailing around trying to grab it. But doesn't tradition dictate that it's the ladies that go after the bouquet? Who cares? Just catch it. Here. Oh, hey, you did that at my face. I don't know. I thought she was carrying it. You don't want to catch that bouquet, why not? They say it's bad luck to catch the bouquet of a marriage that doesn't last. But I already caught it. Whoops, too late now, huh, Nick? Don't you dare touch that radio again. It looks like an expensive antique. What are you worried about? If it breaks again, Pierce will just fix it up again. I really hope he's nice enough to waive the repair bill. Pierce, the woman in this photo is Soren's older sister Selena, right? I don't think we've met her yet. Yes, about that. He seems hesitant all of a sudden. If you wouldn't mind, could you tell us about her? Alright, very well. She's a big part of Master Soren's past, after all. Soren's past? Master Soren will become the next president of Sprocket Aviation. However, that wasn't always so. Miss Selena Sprocket, Master Soren's elder sister, was next in line. So why isn't she becoming the next president? Because she died in a car accident. What? I had no idea. Actually, Master Soren was also in the car with her at the time of the accident. Losing the sister he loved right before his eyes devastated him. Ever since then, he has buried himself in his research on time machines. He also became a quiet and meticulous, almost compulsive note-taker around then. He seemed so stiff and robotic, I had no idea he was carrying all that around inside him. Master Soren has abandoned the company business and spends all his time on inventions. As the family butler, I am truly concerned. I believe it is high time he let go of the past. About the incident Miss Ellen was arrested for. Do you think she did it? Well, I can't prove it yet, but no, I don't think she could have done it. I guess you could call it a gut feeling. I see. I guess we have different opinions then.
I think she did it.
Yeah. The prosecution says that when Bloomsbury attacked Miss Ellen, she fought back and ended up killing him. I agree with this perspective. Or rather, that is the consensus of the entire Sprocket family. Even so, I heard an interesting story from Chief Prosecutor Edgeworth. I heard that the Sprocket family had tried to pressure the prosecutor's office into burying this case. I fear you were mistaken. All we sought was merely a legal consultation. Besides, none of it matters now, as she is no longer a part of this family. Fortunately for us, they had yet to get their marriage license before holding the banquet. So basically, once they realized they couldn't sway the prosecution, they cut her loose. I realize how callous I must sound, but my duty is to protect the Sprocket family, and more specifically, Sprocket Aviation's future and Master Soren, whose genius is essential to the company. I will do anything to achieve that goal. That is my job as the Sprocket family butler. You know, I think Pierce and Mr. Edgeworth would get along really well, don't you think? Yeah, I could easily picture Edgeworth with a butler. Oh, and by the way, I suppose I should tell you about this as well. It's about when the members of the extended family and I discovered the crime. It was some time after the reception. Some of the master's relatives and I went to clean up the reception hall, and that is when we saw it. A woman standing in front of the victim with the bloody murder weapon in her hand. It was none other than Miss Ellen. But Pierce, it wasn't what it looked like. That's right, she just happened to find the body. I do not know what Miss Ellen has told you, but what we witnessed was unmistakably the moment immediately after the deed had been committed. Ugh. And that is what I told the police who came in response to my call. I see. So Pierce was the one who reported it to the police, huh? Did Ellen say anything to you about traveling through time? She must have been delirious. There is no need to take such a claim seriously. Soren himself said that time travel was possible, though. Master Soren said that. It sounds like he is still stuck in the past. He's psychologically stuck, I take it. Excuse me. What is it? I see. I believe I told you the Madame will be having milk tea. Still, have lemon slices at the ready, just in case. We must not disappoint her, understand? You sure are busy. All in a day's work. Still, we really do need Master Soren to start focusing on the business side of things soon.
You showed me?
We did. Oh, are those pictures of the wedding reception? Yes, I took them with my trusty camera here. Do you mind if we have a look at that photo? Be my guest. Take as long a look as you'd like.
Did you take it in the back?
Well, he is, and she looks upset. A thick fog billows across the room, making it look as if the couple were walking on clouds. Wow, look at how beautiful Ellen is here. She looks a little nervous, though. She does, doesn't she? Hey, look, there's Pierce. Really? Where? Right there, behind the sweetheart table. Hey, you're right. I bet he was there attending to the happy couple the whole dinner. So what do you think, Nick? Does anything in this photo stick out at you? No, not at the moment, anyway. I mean, they did have dry ice for the fog machine. Hey, Nick, if Ellen really did travel back in time, do you think this photo is of the second reception? You know, after the time jump? I wonder. Excuse me, sir. Yes, can I help you? Ellen told us she traveled back in time. Would you happen to know anything about that? Oh, no, I haven't the foggiest idea what you're talking about. He clammed up faster than a clam. Nick, what are you doing here? Oh, is it? Yep. Larry? Oh, man. Here. I came to promote my new character, Q Piglet. I was hoping Sprocket Aviation would do some kind of tie-in with me for it. Wow, I didn't know Larry was such an aggressive businessman. You could learn a thing or two from him, Nick. Why don't you promote your agency to them? Now's not exactly the time for that, in case you haven't noticed. See? And this is why you'll never be rich. Actually, Larry, I've been meaning to ask you something. You were there on the Flying Chapel yesterday, right? Huh? Was I? What were you doing there? Oh my god, is he gonna psych-lock us? Nothing. Whatever it was, I bet it wasn't anything to be proud of, but never mind that. Did you see anything that had to do with the case? Scratch that. Let's start with, you weren't involved in this case, were you? Larry? Hey, he took off! I just knew it. When something smells, it's usually the butts. Come on, Maya, after him. Oh, are you leaving so soon? We, have to run. Thank you for making time for us. I know you have to investigate, but please try to spare the family's feelings as you do. Yes, of course. Let's see. There he is. Hey, Larry! Hey there, Fred. Fancy meeting you here. There's nothing fancy about it. All we did was follow you. So tell me, Larry, why did you run away like that? Huh? Me? I don't know what you're talking about. A bolt of inspiration for my new picture book hit me and I had to run is all. It was like a coophony? You dig? Right. He's just going to keep on playing dumb, isn't he, Nick? Come on, Larry, I know you were on that airship, so what did you see? I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything because I was never on that stupid airship. There we go.
This is just 2.
I think we already have enough to break him.
Take that!
There's no time for games, Larry. I will find out what you're hiding. I'm telling you, Nick, you've got it all wrong. I've got nothing to do with this case whatsoever. Oh, come on, Larry. Even a baby could see through such a blatant and obvious lie. Nothing whatsoever, huh? If you weren't involved, Larry, then you wouldn't have been involved with this person. Which is her, I'm assuming.
Take that!
You're the one who brought Ellen to my office in the first place. And all those cops. Nothing to do with the case whatsoever. Isn't going to cut it this time, Larry. If you have to lie, at least do a better job of it. Don't diss me, Nick. If you're so convinced I'm lying, then let me ask you this. What makes you think I was on that stupid old airship anyway? Let me see some proof if you've got any. Doubling down, are you? Fine. You want proof, Larry? Here's proof that you were on that airship.
Not in that picture, is it?
Let's see.
No.
He is not.
Did he drop the key card there?
Oh, wait. Remember we got this? Uh-oh. This is your business card wallet, isn't it, Larry? I found it in the reception hall. Yeah. Time to come clean, Larry Butts. What exactly are you hiding? Ah! Alright, fine, you got me. I'll tell you everything. Why you gotta keep secrets from your friend, Larry? Larry, what were you doing on that airship anyway? Well, I went there to deliver the welcome to our wedding sign they ordered from me. Huh, I didn't know you took on real jobs like that too. Well, for your information, my wedding welcome signs are very popular on the net. And that's how you met Ellen? Uh-huh. I mean, I'd seen her in the photo for the welcome sign, but seeing her in person, the way she smiled at me and said thank you, I felt like I'd been hit by lightning. And that's when you fell in love with somebody else's bride, huh? So were you invited to the reception? Can you believe they told me only family and relatives could attend? They wouldn't even let me into the reception hall. Smart move on their part, I'd say. I got upset and started wandering around the airship. That must be when I dropped my business card wallet. So somebody else must have found it. I brought it to the reception hall then. But you know what? I saw something incredible while I was on that flying chapel. Like... Get a load of this. What the heck is this? What do you mean, what is this? Isn't it obvious? It's a drawing. I sketched a picture of one of the cabins on the airship. So what's so incredible about a cabin? Look at what was outside the window.
A pterodactyl?
Looks like. It's one of those flying dinosaurs, a real-life pterodactyl. I looked out the cabin window, and there it was, just flying out there. That airship traveled through time, I tell you. Well, what? When I told that Pierce Butler guy about it, he told me to never mention it to anybody ever again. Why would he try to keep you from spouting what is clearly just nonsense? Maybe Sprocket Aviation is secretly developing a time machine. No way. Nick, this case is totally amazing. Larry, you didn't tell Mr. Edgeworth about this, did you? Of course not. Edgy would just roll his eyes and think I was off my rocker. I didn't even tell him I was wandering around on the airship. I told him I met Ellie at the mooring dock and we ran away together. Yeah, I can see Edgeworth's eyes rolling right out of his head had he heard about this. So Larry also experienced the time slip somehow. But how is that possible? Hey, Nick, I'll be taking my card wallet back now, if you don't mind. Oh yeah, this is for you. What is it? It's a picture of a hold. I took it while I was wandering around on the airship. See, there's Ellie right there in the middle. The hold. Yeah, see, it's right here on the diagram. Okay, so now I know where the hold is, but what was Ellen doing there? Well, they were using it as a prepping area for the reception. I see, and around when did you take this? Before the reception. I took it while Ellie was getting everything ready. So this was taken before the incident occurred. I don't know if it'll be of any help, but thanks for this anyway. By the way, Larry, I heard that the door to the hold is controlled by a security system. So how'd you get in there? That's a trade secret, can't tell you. And the hits just keep on coming. Well, I guess that's basically a wrap on the investigation. Not quite, Nick. I want to meet Ellen, too. Oh, that's right. You haven't met her yet, have you? Okay, let's head over to the detention center. Then, so you can say hi.
She said hello. I'm not really sure she wants to say hey.
No, she'll be like, yo, what's up? No, why? Please understand that this is Master Soren's best interest. Sounds like Ellen's busy talking with someone. Sounds like Pierce. The next president cannot be married to a criminal. It would disgrace Sprocket Aviation. Miss Ellen, I need you to forget about this marriage. Pardon us. If it isn't Mr. Wright. So their marriage is definitely off. There is no other choice. We cannot have a criminal in the family. For the sake of Master Sword and the Sprocket family, this is what is best. No. In that case, what if Nick here proved Ellen's innocence? Then you wouldn't have a criminal in the family, right? I suppose you are right, but I'm afraid that will be impossible. That's not true, not for Nick. He may look like a nobody, but he can do some pretty amazing things. I don't take cases on lightly, so rest assured I will prove her innocence. Mr. Phoenix Wright, I understand your name is quite well known in the judicial world, for better or for worse. Pierce, I want you to promise me this. If I can prove Ellen's innocence, then you won't stand in the way of Sword and Ellen's marriage. Very well. But not even the most talented lawyer in the world can change reality itself. And the reality is, Miss Ellen is guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. I believe that's where you're wrong, Pierce. I'm clean! I swear I am! Obsessively, compulsively clean. Just as clean and pure as his pure white dress. Fine, you have my word, but you will be the one to regret this promise. Now, if you will excuse me. Now I have all the more reason to win this case. Alan, we finished our investigation. We'd like to talk with you about what we found. Okay, so what did you find out? In the course of our investigation, we heard that you had been seen standing in front of the victim with the murder weapon in your hands. It wasn't what it looked like. It's true I was holding the murder weapon. But when I found him, he was already dead. I panicked, and I was hoping I could go back in time again like I had done earlier. So I picked up the timekeeper from the pedestal and brought it over without thinking. You were so desperate you were ready to try anything, huh? Unfortunately, that sort of behavior makes you an easy target for the prosecution. No. And as for your little trip through time, none of your in-laws could confirm your story, I'm afraid. I see. The only exception is Larry. He said he saw something. Really? What did he see? Yep. Can't say I quite believe it myself, but Larry claims he saw something incredible. He claims he saw a pterodactyl flying outside the airship. What? Not only that, but apparently Pierce Nickety told Larry to keep quiet about it. But why would Pierce do such a thing? Larry's theory is that Sprocket Aviation is developing something in secret, a time machine to be exact. Do you think that's why nobody would confirm my story, because it's a secret? I really don't know, but speaking of your in-laws, we did manage to find your keycard at Sprocket Manor. One of your in-laws said he'd keep an eye on it for you. Oh, thank goodness! I lost it while I was getting things ready for the reception. I'd looked everywhere for it.
How did it get back to the room?
Oh no. Let me see. Somebody brought it back? At least they're tears of joy this time for a change. Well, Nick, it looks like you'll have to prove the existence of time travel in court tomorrow. That's right, I swear that while Mr. Bloomsbury was being killed, I was busy traveling back through time. Great. With stodgy skeptic Edgeworth at the helm for the prosecution tomorrow, we're really going to have our work cut out for us. I'm very intrigued by this little case.
It's different. I'm starting to look at the time travel as more of like an amusement thing. Like it's not real, but it's meant to look real.
Yeah, like, I'm very curious what the actual reason is that she thought she traveled back in time.
Yeah, maybe she passed out, and then, like, someone else really did kill him for her. But then, like, when she wakes up, that's what I can think, is that she's passed out from him, like, strangling her. And someone else did the deed. And
Or I wonder if, for some reason, the Sprocket family had to kill him, and they just made it seem like she traveled back in time because she's kind of aloof.
yeah, and it's a captive audience.
Mhm.
So it's definitely strange.
Like the whole Sprocket family is in it together. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Ellen. I see you're still wearing your wedding gown, and I will continue to wear it until our marriage is saved. Oh, Soren! I'm looking forward to meeting more of the family, too. There's more to meet. Do you think he came to see how she's holding up? Why is she still wearing her wedding dress? Soren, my love, you came all the way to the courthouse just to see me. Oh, Soren, I don't know what to say. Blueprints. Huh? The engine blueprints. I can't find them. Do you know where they are? Oh, they're in your room, third shelf from the bottom on the right-hand side. Ah, I see. He's leaving already? Apparently. Don't tell me he came just to ask about some stupid blueprints. Is he really that cold of me, Soren? Ellen, he's back. Come home soon. I'm lost without you.
Like cleaning after him or in a relationship?
Soren! I don't know.
Because he's very cold.
He's very hard to read later.
Like who says later when your like spouse is facing
A murder
a
charge.
murder charge?
Like, first is the blueprints, then it's like, please come back soon. Later.
I don't think that he's thinking you.
I would hate to think that. Because I'm pretty sure this is not one of those twists where she actually did it. I'm almost positive he has nothing to do with it. You should take notes on this, Nick. Please leave me out of this. Anyway, it looks like Soren isn't big on words, but it's clear that he cares about Ellen.
Really?
Knowing that, I actually kind of feel relieved. Mr. Wright, I just absolutely can't be found guilty, you hear? Don't worry, I'm going to do everything I can to prove your innocence. Thank you, Mr. Wright. The trial is about to start, sir. Edgeworth, knowing him, he's not going to yield an inch. So I've just got to fight with everything I've got and save Ellen. We need Rafa bad. Rafa, can you take a plane over here, please?
There's a dance and someone who did this.
Yeah. It's like, sure thing. Court is now in session for the trial of Ellen Wyatt. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Seeing so many familiar faces gathered together like this, I feel as though I'm at a grand reunion. It makes me want to go out for dinner and a drink and reminisce with all of you. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. I was dying for a real burger the whole time I was away. We could make it a welcome back party for Maya. How about it, Edgy Poo? I have no intention of cavorting with my enemies. Now then, Your Honor, let me start this trial at once.
We'll go get Simon. We'll get soba noodles.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Still not one for lighthearted banter, are you, Mr. Edgeworth? Jokes and good humor are beyond worthless in the court of law. Guess we'll just have to have the party without him then. She's so, happy about it, too. However, were it after the conclusion of this trial, I might consider joining you for your little welcome back party. I surely wouldn't mind an invite at the very least.
He's still being cool.
Yeah. She's still as emotionally constipated as ever, I see.
Emotionally constipated. I like it.
I like that very much. The victim was Dumas Bloomsbury, a servant in the Sprocket household. He was in attendance at the wedding reception that occurred from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Mr. Bloomsbury apparently felt some animosity toward Ellen Wyatt, and so, a bit after the reception ended at 10 p.m., he assaulted Miss Wyatt with the intent to kill her. The defendant fought back and ended up killing Mr. Bloomsbury.
Sounds like the Findlay Castle doctrine to me.
Yeah. In other words, it was justified self-defense, correct? He's going to be like, nope. If that's the case, then the defendant might not be criminally responsible. He's right. Worst case scenario, I could go for self-defense to avoid the criminal charge. I wonder how Edgeworth plans to counter that, though. The prosecution's first witness will make my view on the matter clear, Your Honor. Very well. Bailiff, please bring in the first witness. Is this Emma? Yep. Please state your name and occupation, witness. Emma Skye, a forensic investigator. And I'd just like to say, sir, that being in the same courtroom as you is a great honor. Oh yeah, she hasn't done that yet, has she? Oh, that's right. You're a fan of Edgeworth's, aren't you, Emma? We're good friends and all, Mr. Wright. But just this once, I intend to faithfully and fully testify for the prosecution. And I do mean that wholeheartedly. I expect no less from you. Yes, sir, I'm going to do my very best. Looks like you lost the popularity contest to Mr. Edgeworth, Nick. Nah, I really could care less. Besides, she'll see who's the better lawyer once I win this trial. Yeah, maybe then you'll actually really care less. Now, Detective Skye, if you please. Yeah, I forgot when Edgeworth was here last game. It was with Fulbright. The murder weapon was a clock called the Timekeeper. The victim was hit with it from behind, and he fell over right into the lantern. The defendant was spotted then, standing in front of the body holding the murder weapon. The victim was struck twice, by the way. He was struck twice? That's right, there's no mistake about it. The first blow was to the back of the victim's head. It was hard enough to knock him unconscious. Yet despite the fact that he had been immobilized by the first blow, the defendant delivered a second fatal blow to the side of the victim's head. Which means what exactly? That it wasn't self-defense. I figured it would go right over your head. Let's put it this way, by striking the victim a second time, the defendant killed her last chance to escape from any criminal wrongdoing. She did, but how, Mr. Edgeworth? The defendant may have been fighting back because she was being attacked. However, she then went on to deliver a fatal blow to a man who was already fully unconscious. Nick, is he saying what I think he is? I don't feel so well. And thus, Mr. Wright, has justified self-defense been removed from the table. The prosecution intends to prove that the defendant killed the victim with murderous intent. Allow me to belatedly submit the victim's autopsy report. So that's why he was acting all smug. Or more smug than usual. It's fine, right? It's not like we were going to plead self-defense anyway, right? Right, but now the judge has a negative impression of Ellen. He may not get to prosecute much anymore, but he definitely hasn't lost his touch. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Do 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 do.
Hold it!
Are you completely sure the murder weapon was the timekeeper? Yes, completely. The shape of the injury on the victim's head matches up with that of the timekeeper, and it's definitely heavy enough to kill someone with. But would the defendant have been able to pick up and swing something so heavy? I tried it myself, and I was able to lift it up just fine. Maybe you're just freakishly strong? Excuse me, Mr. Wright? I'll have you know that people on the force know me as the dainty forensic investigator. Sorry, but really, you're hardly a delicate flower. Mr. Wright, this is a court of law. Save your antics for after the trial, if you know how. Yes, sir. It won't happen again, sir. Moving on. Fighting back against the victim, right? If so, wouldn't she have hit him from the front and not from behind? The victim must have tried to run once Miss Wyatt started fighting back. That's probably when he got hit from behind. I see, thus the blow to the back of his head. The defendant must have looked awfully scary when she was brandishing that clock. I don't know about that. Regardless of how scary Ellen looked, the victim was definitely hit from behind. May I go on? Yes, of course, please do. The defendant was spotted then, standing in front of the body holding the knife.
Hold it!
But that's only because she was so panicked when she found the body, that she tried to use the timekeeper to go back to time. Mr. Wright, do you have any idea how absurd you sound? But Miss Wyatt really believes she could travel through time with that clock. You really should have come up with a more credible story, you know. Yes, I agree. Me three, but it's all I got to go on. Anyway, under the circumstances, the only conclusion we can draw is that the defendant killed the victim. The victim was struck twice, by the way. Whoops. This is so exciting. We haven't taken on Mr. Edgewood in ages. Yeah. Okay, Nick. Now go get him. No need to rush me, Maya. Alright. I'd better start by comparing Emma's testimony with the evidence we have. Look for any glaring inconsistencies.
Are you sure? Can you feel me?
Nope. So let's, we didn't press this. I accidentally skipped over it. Miss Wyatt must have had a chance to escape after she struck the victim the first time. So why would she stick around and hit him with such a heavy object again? Well, about that, allow me to explain. Why did she strike him again indeed? To finish off the victim, of course. This very act clearly shows that she had every intention of killing Mr. Bloomsbury.
I tried to kill you too. But you stopped.
I mean, I can definitely see the argument that he's unconscious, get help at that point, instead of kill him after he's unconscious.
Have you ever seen a horror movie?
Yeah, but this isn't a horror movie, this is real life. In the Ace Attorney universe. Then let's see some evidence that disproves my theory. Are you just going to stand there and take that from him, Nick? Can't refute his claim head-on, so I'll have to approach it from a different angle. Okay, so let's, So we gotta refute this, I believe. Yeah, that I'm curious about.
There's those petals that we saw.
Yep. So... That's why I must have had a chance to escape. Why would she stick around and hit him with such a heavy object again? Finish out the victim. This very act clearly shows that she had every intention of killing Mr. Bloomsbury. But Miss Y would never do such a thing. Then let's see some evidence that disproves my theory. Approach from a different angle.
Maybe it's a picture of him laying in the lantern. If he got hit in the back of the head, he should be face down.
He should be face down. I was thinking about that.
Objection!
Yep. Detective Sky, I'm afraid I have to apologize in advance. For what? For embarrassing you in front of your idol. What do you mean? If you take a look at this photo of the crime scene, you'll see that the victim is lying on his back. But if the victim had been hit from behind as you claim, then he should have fallen over into the lantern face down. Ah! It's not enough to simply take someone's side, Detective Sky, even if it's Mr. Edgeworth. Ah, oh. There does appear to be a flaw in Detective Sky's testimony. Mr. Wright, if you think I'm going to just back down, or back right down, then you're sadly mistaken. Emma is unusually fired up today. Don't forget, she's in front of her hero, Nick. If the Steel Samurai came to watch this trial, I would do my absolute best too. Listen, Mr. Wright. It's entirely possible that the defendant moved the victim's body after he fell over. In that case, there wouldn't be any contradiction, right? Indeed. That was an excellent counter-argument, Detective. You can count on me, sir. So what do you have to say to that, Mr. Wright? Is it possible that the victim's body was moved after he fell into the lantern? We're gonna say no. Sorry, Detective, but there's no way the victim's body was moved after his death. Oh, really? And what makes you so sure? One look at this here, and it should become obvious. Is it the blood? I don't see why it would be. There's a note. There's the petals.
Because his hands on top of that piece of wood? And the piece of wood's on top of him?
That might be it. Yeah, because underneath, I would expect that, but on top, yeah, that is kind of weird.
Take that!
Those broken bits of the lantern? Yes, if the body had been moved after the fact, these fragments would have fallen off of it. But as you can clearly see, they're lying perfectly undisturbed on top of the body. That means that the victim must have been lying face up from before the lantern even broke. But wait a minute, if that's true, then when was the victim killed? I mean, the lantern was still whole during the reception, right? Right, which means we've just overturned a major assumption about this case. If the victim was already dead before the lantern was even broken, then the body must have been inside the lantern since before the reception started. In other words, the defense asserts that the victim was killed before the wedding reception. What? In short, when Mr. White was seen standing in front, or Miss White was seen standing in front of the body after the reception, it wasn't the moment just after the murder was committed. It was the moment she happened to discover the body, just as Miss White claims. Ah!
Objection!
Whether the act was committed before or after the reception is entirely inconsequential. After all, it was the defendant who prepared the reception hall for the event in question. Therefore, when the murder occurred changes nothing with regard to her guilt. She could have killed the victim before the reception as she claimed, and then tried to hide his body in the lantern after the event ended.
Objection!
Sorry, but that doesn't make any sense. I mean, where would the body have been hidden during the reception in your scenario? That's... Even you have to admit, Mr. Edgeworth, that this has opened up a new possibility. Do explain, Mr. Wright. Well, if Miss White didn't commit the crime in the reception hall, that means someone somewhere put the victim's body into the lantern. I suppose that makes sense. A dead body couldn't have put itself in there. Exactly, Your Honor. In other words, if the murder actually occurred before the reception, it opens the possibility that he was killed somewhere else, the defendant didn't do it, he was killed some other way.
Well, the defendant didn't do what he wanted to, but he was killed somewhere else.
Yeah. I feel like all three of these work, in a way, but... And it's because we said...
I think he was killed somewhere else.
Yeah, I think so.
In fact, in the holes.
Yeah, like, I think that...
Full lantern down there and flower.
I think he was dead in the lantern during the reception. Because look, it's there. I wouldn't be surprised if that body was there.
Maybe the family wanted her to get killed before the wedding, but now they're not worried about it because they didn't get their license. So now they just want to pin the murder on her.
That'd be...
See, if he'd thrown her over before the reception,
So then, who had the motive to kill him is what I would want to know if that were the case.
whoever asked him to grab her and go and
Yeah, but then why would they kill him?
do it,
But he was in the process of doing it.
because maybe Soren killed him.
Makes me wonder.
See?
It's possible that the body was moved along with it from somewhere else. Ooh, you're right! You can run that mouth of yours all you want, but do you have any evidence to support what's coming out of it, Mr. Wright? I have evidence, eeny meeny. I think the answer lies in that piece of evidence and in something that was left at the crime scene that will point us to where the victim was really killed. So, should we do that then because the flower petals are there, or should we do this because the flower petals? I wonder.
I think it's this one, and I'll say where.
Say, how does that prove anything? With this piece of evidence? The photo of the victim again? Yes. I'd like the court to focus on this thing right here. There we go.
Take that!
Flower petals, Mr. Wright? These petals are from a kind of flower that were not present in the reception hall. That means they must have gotten into the lantern when it was somewhere else. And just where do you propose this somewhere else to be, Mr. Wright?
Okay. I don't know if it's this or if it's the diagram.
I think it's this, because then we can say that's where the flowers are.
Take that!
Please take a look at the flowers in this picture of the hole. Notice how their petals are of the same shape as the petals in the crime scene photo? Yes, I see. They do look to be from the same kind of flower. Is that really all you've got? A flower is a flower is a flower. They're all the same. I would hardly call what you presented compelling evidence. I'm afraid I couldn't disagree with you more, Mr. Edgeworth. I gave a flower of this type to my lovely wife once when we were young. So I can assure you that this is a very meaningful and compelling evidence indeed. The soundness of my judgment in this matter is backed by nothing less than pure love. But, Your Honor, Let it go, Mr. Edgeworth. It's clear you don't know much about flowers. It's not like you have anybody you'd actually give any to, after all. Wow! Maybe you should study up on them, just in case the opportunity presents itself. Dude! Man! This is from the man who only knows the names of 3 types of flowers. That's hardly relevant to the case at hand. The defense asserts that it's highly probable that the victim was killed in the hold. If the body was then placed in the lantern and moved to the reception hall for some reason, it would completely destroy the prosecution's case. Then you mean the body was... Yes, the victim's body was inside the lantern during the entire beautiful wedding reception, as I thought, while the defendant and her betrothed were celebrating their love. What?
Objection!
Your smooth talk might work on his honor, but it won't work on me. What are you talking about now? Take another look at all of the evidence and you'll soon see what I mean. I wish you would just tell me already. Detective Sky, I'm sure you've already figured out what I'm talking about, correct? Heh, of course, sir. Mr. Wright is the only one here who hasn't. Why don't you leave this to me, Mr. Edgeworth? Very well. Let's see what you can do. Detective Sky, please give your testimony to this court. You know, why is she fanboying over Edgeworth when Edgeworth was trying to prosecute her in the first game?
Because he's edgy poo.
Or, actually, no, he was prosecuting her sister. But still, it was her sister!
Because he's edgy poo.
Because he's so handsome?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
He has a sports car, nice purple suit. I mean,
Yeah,
who wouldn't love him?
I have a purple suit. Victim could not have been killed before the reception. The autopsy report states that the estimated time of death was after the reception. And that estimated time of death is correct. There's no way it could be wrong.
Is it there's a time machine?
Yeah. It's clear Mr. Bloomsbury was killed after the reception, and that completely contradicts your claim. I guess so.
I don't know how they did it.
Tell me you took at least a cursory glance at the autopsy report, Mr. Wright. Well, no, why should I take a glance when you might update it? It appears you've grown rusty since our last outing. Might I suggest you go back and brush up on the basics? Sure, though I must say you're as cocky as ever, Mr. Edgeworth. I beg your pardon? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright? I'm just saying that I'll go back to basics if that's what Mr. Edgeworth wants. I'll prove how badly he's underestimating me with a good old-fashioned cross-examination. Very well, let's see you put your money where your mouth is, Mr. Wright. Let me go to these two.
Hold it!
I've read the autopsy report too, you know. Then you don't need me to explain it to you, right? How there's no way the victim could have been killed before the reception, I mean. Detective Sky, I think you've overlooked something big. I have? Why don't you take another look at the evidence? Well, I've already looked at all the evidence, and quite carefully too, I'll have you know. Detective Sky, do not be taken in by his verbal antics. He is simply bluffing us always. Right, sir.
Hold it!
Is it possible that the culprit did something to obscure the real time of death? No, not in this case. There was no snow or anything to keep the body from decomposing, and there's no fridge on that airship big enough to fit a body into. So you've already checked into that, I see. It all comes down to the estimated time of death, doesn't it? Couldn't the killer mess with the victim's time of death by keeping the body on ice? Yeah, if they had the means to. The prosecution is treating the estimated time of death as an absolute. But is it really? And I take it you don't think it is? Oh, I think I know. Dry ice.
Objection!
I admit that the estimated time of death does contradict my theory. Finally, and that means your theory that the victim was killed before the reception is still entirely plausible. Huh? What makes you think that? The killer could have falsified the time of death by using a certain item in the reception hall. Please take a look at this. And what is that contraption, Mr. Wright? It's a fog machine, Your Honor, used to create a special romantic atmosphere in the hall. And this machine could have been used to falsify the time of death? Dry ice. Ah yes, the super cold stuff commonly used to make theatrical fog, right? I see, so your claim was that this dry ice was used to keep the body cold. Oh, in that case, I guess the victim could have been killed before the reception. Order in this court. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do you have to say about this development? That the victim was killed in the hold before the wedding reception? The prosecution acknowledges the possibility of this claim. Now we're getting somewhere. The prosecution would also like to thank you, Mr. Wright. For what? I didn't know how a certain piece of evidence fit into this case, but now thanks to you I do. What piece of evidence? To get into the hold, one needs a keycard like this one. And here we have a record of those who entered the hold with such keycards.
She didn't have it with her. It was at the house.
Yeah. The times aren't specified, but these are the last 3 entries on the day of the murder. And as you can see, the last person to enter the hold that day was the defendant. What? So the one who moved the body out of the hold must have been... That's right, it was none other than the defendant. Hey Nick, take a look at this entry record. There are a couple of other names on here besides Ellen's. Hey, you're right. According to the entry record, Mr. Edgeworth, Pierce Nickety had also gone into the hold. Isn't it possible that he could have been the culprit? Sorry, but Mr. Nickety was escorting a few of the guests at the time. I'm sure they would be happy to testify to that fact if you'd like. Think me cocky all you'd like, Mr. Wright, but my confidence is rarely misplaced. There. Now then, it's probably safe to assume that after killing the victim in the hold, the defendant moved his body to the hall in order to dispose of it discreetly. What do you mean by discreetly? The defendant volunteered to take care of the reception's cleanup personally. That means she would have had the chance to dispose of anything in any way she wanted, including taking the lantern off the airship without raising any suspicion. Don't tell me you didn't know about Miss Wyatt volunteering for cleanup duty, Mr. Wright.
You told us that.
Yeah.
I just don't know what her motive would be to kill him because she made it and she's marrying him to money.
Yeah, like, if she were the most shallow person ever, she would be, she'd be in good shape, so it doesn't make any sense. Look at you, sweating buckets like a rookie, even after all these years. Nevertheless, thank you for proving that the only person who could have killed the victim in the hold is Ellen Wyatt. Ah! Great job, Phoenix. Now we're back to square one. Okay, perhaps you should ask Miss Sykes for some help in reviewing Defense for Dummies. Way to go, sir! You've got Mr. Wright in a cold sweat. I wonder if maybe the promise of seeing that miserable look on his face is what brought me back to court today. It certainly made all of my stress and woes as chief prosecutor just melt away.
I thought you were a friend, did you, Pooh?
Yeah, I guess he had a lot of stress built up. I'll give him something to stress over before we're through today. Your Honor, the prosecution asks that you render your verdict at this time. Before that man over there tries to throw the court into chaos with his meaningless bluffs. I see. Mr. Wright, are there any last meaningful bluffs you'd like to present to this court? Why does he have to assume it'll be a bluff? Nick, hurry up and throw a good one out there. I will. Well, alright then, let's see. I've got it. How do you know it was Miss Wyatt who used her key card? After all, if it turns out that somebody else used her card, it would mean Miss Wyatt didn't do it. Interesting. And are you able to prove this bluff to be true? I assure you I'm not bluffing, Your Honor. Well, now what? Wait a minute, Nick. I can think of a certain somebody who might have used Ellen's key card. You can? Remember, the one who was sneaking around the hold in spite of not being a family member? Oh, that's right. Your Honor, the defense would like to call a certain witness to the stand. I need the testimony of this person who may have entered the hold with Miss Wyatt's card.
Take that!
Let's get you, Larry. That's your witness? Are you saying that numbskull was on the airship? He never breathed a word about that to me.
Because he would tell you to do it.
Yeah, that's not surprising because Mr. Nickety told him to keep quiet about it. But Mr. Butts himself admitted it to me. He claimed to have found a way to sneak into the Flying Chapel's hold to see Miss Wyatt. This photo he took and gave to me as proof. Then was it he who moved the lantern with the body inside to the reception hall? You know as well as I that with him anything is possible. And this is one possibility we should definitely look into. I can't believe this. What in the world is he doing mixed up in this? Come on, Mr. Edgeworth. Remember what we've been saying since elementary school?
It's been telling me for months.
Yep. Exactly. Gad, that Larry, he'll pay for this! Well, if you want to extract your payment now, he's right up there in the gallery. Yikes! Bailiff, seize the witness before he makes a run for it. No! Why does this stuff always happen to me? Sorry, Larry, but you brought this on yourself. Let us break for a 15-minute recess. I ask that both sides prepare for the next witness's testimony during this time. Wow, it's been a while since I've had this much fun and excitement. A face-off against Mr. Edgeworth, a harrowing tightrope walk for the defense. Phew, I'm exhausted already. Boss! Yay, Athena! I'm here for moral support. Athena, are you all done practicing for Trucy's magic show? Well, to be perfectly honest, I sort of ran away. Well, that's because he was putting my life in danger, I tell you. I see. I think I'll need to have a one-on-one with her. You're really athletic and fit, Athena, so Trucy probably thinks she can run you ragged. That may be true, which is why not even Trucy can keep up with me when I run at full speed. Ha, looks like you spoke too soon, Athena. Never underestimate the resourcefulness of a great magician. Huh? Magical girl Trucy Wright is on the scene. No! Now, Athena, it's time to practice human combustion magic. Go on, douse yourself in this gasoline. But don't worry, it's a magic trick after all, so it's perfectly safe. Run away! Hey you're not getting off that easily. Ha ha ha, they get along so well, don't they? It reminds me of the good old days. You, me, and Pearly. Oh, and Detective Gumshoe, can't forget him. We had all kinds of fun at the crime scenes back then, remember? Leaving me to do all the serious investigating, as I recall. Court will soon be back in session, Mr. Wright. Right, thank you. So Larry's the next witness, right? I can't wait to see what happens. Sadly, I can already imagine it. Court will now reconvene. Nick, Edgy! Two of you are gonna hang me out to dry, aren't you? No, not the both of us. Just Mr. Wright. Nick, how could you? I don't really think he did it, of course, but I've got to use whatever leads I can. Mr. Butts, there's a possibility you moved a lantern that had the dead body in it. So if you want to clear yourself of any suspicion, all you have to do is testify. Now then, your testimony, please, witness. Seriously? Nick, you big, fat, stinking jerk! How can you doubt your best bud? We've known each other since elementary school. Well, get this, pal, our friendship's over.
I'm sweating when he said that.
That's his testimony, though? That's his testimony. Well, go ahead, Mr. Wright. He's all yours. Why me?
It wasn't even testimony.
You're the one who called him to the stand, so he's your responsibility.
No, it's
Thanks, old chum. Can't any of you show me a little respect, even just a shred? You may cross-examine the witness, Mr. Wright. I would if there was any testimony to cross-examine. Nick is a jerk face.
Hold it!
Come on, Larry. Can you please give me something real to work with? Don't think I don't know about your tricks. If I say something careless, you're gonna shove some evidence at me with a loud objection and a super smug look on your face. Yeah, well, that is my job. And if I get found guilty, how are you gonna take responsibility for what you've done? Why should I take responsibility for just doing my job? You heartless jerk. Don't you have any compassion for me?
Hold it!
I'm sorry, Mr. Butts, but if it wasn't Miss Wyatt that entered the hold with that card, then you're the most likely suspect. Nick, are you seriously doubting the innocence of your old childhood friend? Well, technically, yes. But it isn't personal, I assure you. Oh, a true friend would believe in me no matter what. Can't you see my tears? Don't they mean anything to you? Nick! Nick! You don't really think you can cry your way out of this, do you? Okay, fine. In that case...
Hold it!
Larry, listen to me. Shut up! I'm not talking to you anymore. This is getting us nowhere. Come off it, Larry. If you don't quit fooling around and start testifying, Miss Wyatt will be found guilty. For real? If no new information comes out of this cross-examination, then yes, Mr. Butts, for real. Not that I would have a problem with that myself. Larry, just tell us the truth already. Did you or didn't you go into the hold and move a lantern up to the reception hall? I never moved any bull lantern, I tell ya. Bull lantern? What, did I say something weird? You told me that you didn't attend the wedding reception. Yeah, so what? Then that's odd. No one in this courtroom ever mentioned the sex of the lantern that was moved. So how could you know that it was a bull lantern? You didn't have to actually go to the reception to know that. Anyone could tell you there were 2 Pegables by looking at the Flying Chapel's pamphlet. Testimony, Mr. Butts. This is going to be easy. Except there weren't.
Objection!
I want you to take a look at this, Mr. Butts. Because unfortunately for you, the pamphlet clearly shows a Pega cow and a Pega bull in their example diagram of the reception hall. Huh? But on that day, instead of putting a Pega cow and Pega bull out for the bride and groom, there were 2 male Pega bulls on display. Yet somehow, you knew there were 2 Pega bulls in the reception hall that day. There's only one way you'd know something like that, Larry. It was you who moved the Pega bull to the reception hall, wasn't it? Ah! No. Larry, you didn't. Mr. Butts, did you move the lantern containing the victim's body to the reception hall? That's what it looks like. What? Well, that explains a lot about that scene, at least. Wait, Nick! You don't think I'm the murderer, do ya? Maybe you and Mr. Bloomsbury are fighting over Miss White and you ended up killing him. Maya, not you too! Look, I did sneak into the reception, but that's as far as it went. You know me, I wouldn't hurt a fly. You snuck into the reception? Yeah, sure, but some of the Sprocket men caught and locked me up in one of the cabins. It was pretty awful, actually. But that's when I made the drawing of the pterodactyl. I showed you, Nick. Ixnay on the Aerodactyl-tay, Larry. You're right, not even you would take this farce that far, would you? We are talking about Larry. What do I do? Do I accuse Larry of being the true culprit? No? Right? No, you're right, Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Butts didn't have a reason to kill Mr. Bloomsbury. He might have had an imaginary reason to kill Soren Sprocket, sure, but not Mr. Bloomsbury. After all, he did steal Mr. Sprocket's bride and try to elope with her. Just because I tried to steal somebody's bride doesn't make me a murderer. I believe you, Larry. I don't think you killed anybody either. You would never do anything like that. Nick, old buddy, old pal. I knew you'd come through for me. Funny that, considering your sworn testimony just now that we were through. Mr. Butts, it's time you told this court the whole truth, understood? I hope his next testimony said I'm not a jerk face. Nope, it's actual testimony. It's just like Nick said. I'm the one who moved the lantern.
But why?
I was poking around the reception hall before the main event and saw a lantern was broken. There was a note on it that said exchange with the one in the hole, Ellen. So I decided to do Ellie a favor. Okay, that's why. So you switched the lanterns before the reception, did you? That means the victim really was killed before the reception. It would appear that Mr. Butts completely fell for the defendant's scheme. Scheme? What scheme? This note from the defendant exchanged with the one from in the hole, Ellen. Mr. Butts moved the lantern with the body in it up to the reception hall because of this note, and thus he has become a suspect in Mr. Bloomsbury's murder. That second lantern did feel pretty heavy, but I never would have thought there was a dead body in it. What was a note like that doing on a lantern in the first place?
Speaking of which, I took her garbage and put it out on the road, and it was very heavy, the garbage can, and I was afraid to open it because I was like, I wonder if someone stuffed a dead body in here. What is it, watermelon rinds?
Yeah. So I think at least two of the bags that are in there have like watermelon rinds that made it heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy.
We've definitely been playing a lot of Ace Attorney that you thought maybe there was a dead body in the heavy trash can.
Well, I didn't even want to open it and look because I was like, I thought maybe the neighbors put some trash in there or something. But I was like, I don't understand why this is so heavy, and I'm not going to look in there.
I left a note for myself, she says. It was simply a reminder because I can be very
Objection!
What a sorry excuse, Miss Wyatt. The prosecution contends that this note shows one facet of the defendant's murderous plan. And you, Mr. Butts, you played right into Miss Wyatt's hands. No way, Edgy, I don't believe it. Do you still really believe Miss Wyatt to be the culprit, Mr. Edgeworth? Of course, my stance on the matter remains unchanged. If you think I'm wrong, then prove it with your cross-examination. Gladly. Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. It's just like Nick said, I'm the one who moved the lantern.
Hold it!
Why didn't you tell us that sooner? Because I knew you guys were going to be suspicious of me, that's why. We're suspicious of you now because you tried to hide it. My thoughts exactly. Well, now I've told you. Happy? So how about letting me go? No, not yet. We need you to stick around to sort a few things out. Fine. I was poking around the reception hall before the main event and saw a lantern was broken.
Hold it!
The lantern you swapped out was a female Pegamoo, a Pegacow, right? Yeah, I guess. Why did you replace the female lantern with a male one? Because I was too busy trying not to get caught. I didn't have time to check for little details like that. If you didn't want to get caught, you could have just left well enough alone, you know. Whatever. Anyway, when I took a look at the broken lantern, I saw...
Hold it!
That note wasn't addressed to you, was it? Well, I guess not, but how could I let my dear, sweet Ellie do all that hard physical labor on her own? It's precisely that thought process that constantly gets you in trouble, Larry. Besides, it was my big chance to show her how much I cared about her. So I decided to do Ellie a favor. Nobody saw you the whole time while you were switching the lanterns. Nope, I didn't get caught. Not that time, anyway. Not that time? Yeah, when I tried to sneak into the reception hall the first time. I didn't have as much luck. Those Sprocket guys spotted me and nabbed me. All of my words are failing me right now. Pretty exciting, don't you think? Larry, you need help. And then they locked me up in one of those cabins. Nick, what are you asking about stuff like this for anyway? Shouldn't you be trying to prove Ellie's innocence? Well, is that statement of his important to the case? It darn too. Mr. Butt's trying to crash the reception and subsequently getting locked up in a cabin. I believe these might be important facts in this case, Your Honor. Very well, Mr. Butts, please add that statement to your testimony.
Hold it!
So you got locked up, then what happened? I broke out! Then I started looking for Ellie and wandered into the reception hall again. That's when I saw the broken lantern and replaced it. Even after they caught you and locked you up, you still went looking for Miss Wyatt. But hold on a minute. What is it, Nick? Maya, doesn't something seem weird to you? Larry is saying he replaced the lantern after he broke out of the cabin. That's right. Oh, wait, huh? You're right, it doesn't make much sense, does it? Mr. Wright, have you found an inconsistency in the witness's statement? Yes, I believe so, Your Honor. Mr. Butts moved the lantern after he broke out of the cabin, but that contradicts with this.
Didn't see they had to work out after something. Because that's when she found it?
So a couple.
There's a male and a female part.
Yep, they're both down there. And I think this is her writing the note to herself. See that? So she hadn't even written the note yet.
So then there's that.
Take
Maybe,
that!
yeah. And in what sense does that piece of evidence contradict with the statement? It doesn't contradict it at all, does it? Indeed. Ugh. Oh, don't mind me, Your Honor. It looks like I made a tiny mistake, that's all.
Hold it!
We saw the broken lantern and replaced it. See if we can figure this out. Whoops.
Take that!
The picture's not inside the book.
So let me see. broken lantern, Your Honor. Mr. Butts, what you're saying doesn't make any sense at all. You swapped the lanterns before the reception began. But you also just said that you swapped the lanterns after you got locked up in a cabin for trying to sneak into the reception. In other words, you're saying you swapped the lanterns both before the reception and after the reception. That certainly doesn't make any sense, does it? Mr. Butts, did you swap the lanterns before or after the reception? Both, because you traveled through time. Which was it, before or after? There's a world of difference between the two. Well, Mr. Butts, I guess I can't expect guys like you to understand. In a nutshell, it was both before and after the reception.
So he time traveled too.
Yeah.
Or he's present.
I tried to sneak into the first reception and got locked up. First reception? Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going. Then, through the power of Ellie's pendant, time got rewound and we went back to the time before the reception. It was after that when I replaced the lantern. So it was both before the reception and after the reception. Get it? We went back in time to before the reception. So, of course, the reception would take place one more time after that, right? That's why what I said makes perfect sense. Mr. Wright, what in the world is the witness talking about? Has he developed some sort of intellectual ailment I'm not aware of since I saw him last? Well, none of the sprockets seem to remember the time skip, but I do. And Ellie remembers it too. And I think the power of our love for each other made that miracle happen. Mr. Wright, I'm sorry, but could you please translate this man's gibberish so the rest of us can understand? So now I have to be the one to explain about the whole time travel thing. Go on, Nick. I know you can do it. Looks like you don't have much of a choice, Nick. To heck with it. I can't lose any more of the dignity of the day anyway. The defendant, Miss Ellen Wyatt, has told the defense the following strange story. She said that after the reception ended, she was attacked by Mr. Bloomsbury. She claims that as she was being assaulted, she made a wish upon her pendant. Please take me back to that blissful moment. In doing so, time apparently rewound itself to just before the reception began. What? I know it's hard to believe, but think about it this way. Through the power of the pendant, both Ellen Wyatt and Larry Butts experienced time travel. Well, what?
Objection!
What absolute rubbish! Mr. Wright, I've heard my fair share of your nonsense over the years, but this takes the cake. Have you thoroughly lost your mind? But this is simply the conclusion I came to, using that logic ability you love so much. What? The truth of the matter is, the future president of Sprocket Aviation, Soren Sprocket, has been researching time machines. So what if a time machine has already been successfully created? And what if that's one of Sprocket Aviation's top secret inventions? Time machine? Yeah, I even saw something while we were time traveling. I saw a pterodactyl flying through the sky. Maybe the airship was set to travel through time for their honeymoon trip? What? A pterodactyl?
Objection!
You can't possibly have any evidence to back up your ridiculous time travel story. Well, as I thought. In any case, I now have the evidence to prove, oh god, that you're no more intelligent than Larry. Now that's just wrong. Not so fast now, Edgy. I'm not the same old Larry you used to know. Oh? You want evidence? I've got your evidence right here. This is a photo I secretly took of the first reception. What? What? Larry, I can't believe you... Well, anyway, good job. If we compare the photos of the first and second receptions, we can find a difference, and we'll be able to prove that the reception was held twice. Do you really think such a difference exists? Yes, Your Honor. I just need some time to find it for you. This is preposterous! Very well. Please show the court what's different.
The flower.
Let's just double-check the flowers really fast. Yep.
Take that!
Please direct your attention to Miss Wyatt's bouquet of flowers. In the photo one of her in-laws took, the defendant is holding a yellow bouquet. But in the photo Mr. Butts took, she's holding a red bouquet. You're right. That's impossible! What does this mean?
It's Photoshop.
It means the defendant really did experience 2 wedding receptions. Hey, Larry had a point! He really did help Phoenix out of a jam. What? Nick! You did it! You proved Ellen's time travel story to be true. Yeah, I can hardly believe it myself. It's just as Ellen said, the reception was held twice. This turns every assumption we've faced this trial upside down.
Veggies matter.
Yeah. I refuse to accept such a ludicrous argument. It is pure fiction under the guise of pseudoscience at best. There is simply no such thing as time travel. I know it's hard, but can't you suspend your disbelief for 1 nanosecond, Edgeworth? I bet sci-fi movies push all your buttons the wrong way, don't they, Mr. Edgeworth? I can totally picture you yelling, "That never happened!" every 5 seconds at the screen. Maybe you should stay away from movie dates altogether. That's neither here nor there. This is real life we're talking about. The proof is clearly shown in the 2 photographs. That's right, Mr. Edgeworth, no matter how hard... Fine, I'll entertain your absurd delusion. No matter how inexplicable it is, I would say. If only to demolish it before your very eyes. What? Let's start with this then, shall we? There is one thing your time travel theory fails to explain. And that is the memories of the other guests there. The defendant and Larry remember the reception occurring twice, but no member of the Sprocket family has even mentioned such a thing. That's because the time machine is classified... I'm not done, you bird brain! He's so bad at this! Bird brain? As I was saying, if the entire family had been sworn to secrecy, then why hadn't they sworn the woman who was marrying into the family to secrecy too? That's a good point. Honestly, all it takes is a little common sense, Mr. Wright. Even still.
Then I guess why is the husband?
Yeah.
Thanks.
How do we know that the trip through time did not really occur? There is proof in the photos that it did, and besides, if time travel doesn't exist, well, I'd be a little disappointed, frankly. I was hoping to go back to the days of my youth. You mustn't allow yourself to be taken in by Mr. Wright's whimsical tales, Your Honor. I've read about it in various literature, you see. And they all say that time travel is just not logically feasible. Maybe our argument was just a little too nonsensical, Nick. Well, in that case, why don't we put common sense to the test? Excuse me? The wedding reception was held twice. The photos are proof of that. But it wasn't because of time travel. It's simply because the reception had actually been held twice. Isn't that the most reasonable way to interpret the situation? Would you care to elaborate, Mr. Wright? If time travel doesn't exist, then there's only one way to make sense of what happened. Somebody must have orchestrated this strange phenomenon, and that somebody is... everybody at the reception. Only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
I kind of actually wanted to say the gods. See what happened. What if all of the guests at the reception conspired together to hold the reception twice and keep quiet about it? Isn't that what I said? Isn't that what I said? Yeah. What? And for what purpose would they conspire to do such a thing? Well, are you about to sweat bullets?
Make her seem crazy.
Ha ha ha, a brilliant deduction, defense. Is that? It is. I can tell that you are not a renowned lawyer for nothing. I must say I underestimated you. How so, Mr. Nickety? You have managed to name each event precisely as they happened. You have revealed it all to the light of day. Then, that means... it was us. We orchestrated the whole thing. Yes, the reception was held twice. But not because of time travel, no. We simply held it a second time. What? Why? Why would you do such a thing? To make it as though the murder Miss Ellen committed never happened. Huh? Master Soren figured that if Miss Ellen had killed Bloomsbury after the first reception, experienced the reception one more time, she would think it was all a dream. It was he who ordered us to make it happen. However, only a few, myself included, knew of Miss Ellen's crime. Are you saying most of the guests attended 2 receptions without knowing why? Indeed, they needed no reason. Master Soren told them to do it, and do what they did. That is the Sprocket way. Then who hid the body in the lantern? We did. But we did not anticipate the petals finding their way in, nor the actions of Mr. Butts. And that's how you intended to cover the whole situation up? There was just one thing everyone here has wrong. The real scene of the murder was not the hole, it was the Vista deck. What? Then Miss Wyatt's recollection of the events must be correct. I admit we tried to cover this incident up, but the fact that Miss Ellen killed Bloomsbury is undeniable. That is quite the turn of events.
Didn't you like trusting me?
Yeah. Like, y'all did this, and now it's like, heh heh heh. And so it appears we had arrived at the truth at last. Now. Please do feel free to travel back in time, Mr. Wright, and attempt to do this trial over again. Go on. Let's not get hasty, Edgeworth. I bet you can't do it. I bet I can't either. Your Honor, we will have to hold a separate trial for the cover-up conspiracy later. But as far as this case goes, I believe we are ready for your ruling.
Objection!
Just before the defendant lost consciousness during her attack, she says she saw someone strike the victim. It's possible that this third party is the true culprit.
Objection!
You still want us to believe the defendant's words? Perhaps you've lost more than your touch during your time abroad. This third-person nonsense is nothing but rubbish, and you know it. But by the same token, how can we trust those who conspired and lied to fool this court along? For all we know, they might still be hiding something. That's what you said, babe. You never know when to quit, do you? Now, calm down, both of you. In any case, there isn't enough trustworthy information yet for me to render a verdict. I suggest we continue the trial after both sides have investigated the matter further. I think that's fair. Very well, Your Honor. Phew, that was close. Mr. Nickety, as for you and your cohort's attempt to cover up this crime, your case will be brought to a separate trial following the resolution of the current one. Understood, Your Honor. Well then, this concludes today's trial. Court is adjourned.
This is a good stopping point for us.
I think this is.
I played for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I stayed late.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think I've played so much Ace Attorney, and that's the reason I even had the idea. Maybe they just did it twice then, because time travel is not going to be a real thing. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because a lot of times the absurd is the reasoning, because it's the only thing that can make sense of all the events. So, yeah. Indeed. All right. Well, we continue our investigation next time. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.